Hallelujah, Shalom family, love to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Welcome. On this channel I discuss topics to edify and encourage the children of Yisrael to return to the ancient path of Yahuwah. I invite you to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video. Niddah describes a woman who has experienced bloody vaginal discharge, most commonly during menstruation, which is usually completed after 7 days with an immersion in a mikvah or ritual bath, commonly called a baptism. The Torah prohibits sexual intercourse with a niddah. Literally, the feminine noun niddah means mood, that is separated, and generally refers to separation due to ritual impurity. So let's look at how we're actually supposed to work out this issue according to the Torah.
Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on, I can feel it in my bones.
Chapter 15 of Wa'ikra or Leviticus serves as the basis for the menstrual laws. The Hebrew term used for menstruation in Wa'ikra chapter 15 verses 19, 20, 24, and 33 is Niddah, which has at its root Niddah, a word meaning separation, usually as a result of impurity. It is connected to the root Niddah, meaning to make distant. The Aramaic Bible translations translate these verses with the root rachak, in her separation or distance, some adding of her impurity. Both roots reflect the physical separation of women during menstruation or abnormal uterine bleeding or the 7 or 14 days immediately postpartum from physical contact or from certain activities in which they would normally engage in at other times. So as we endeavor to return back to the ancient pathways, to come back to our Hebraic heritage, we need to understand that this is an issue that has not been addressed in Western culture. In Western culture, when a woman is in her menstruation, she continues about her normal everyday life. However, this is not Hebrew culture. So let's get into the meat of this issue of doing the commandments of Yahuwah concerning a woman in her time of separation. The biblical regulations specify that a menstruating woman must separate for 7 days. Wa'ikra chapter 15 verse 19. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days. So that English phrase put apart comes from the Hebrew root niddah. 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 Impurity, filthiness, menstruous, set apart, removed, separation. Any object she sits on or lies upon during this period becomes a carrier of uncleanness. One who comes in contact with those objects or her during this period becomes ritually impure. Wa'ikra chapter 15 verse 19. And whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lies upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sits upon shall be unclean. So the Hebrew word there that is translated into English as unclean is tama. Tama. Tama is the Hebrew word that is translated into English as unclean. It means to be unclean, become impure, defile, pollute. Verse 21, and whosoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And whosoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And if it be on her bed, or on anything whereon she sits, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the even. So we see that a person who touches an object that a separated woman has laid on or sat on becomes ritually unclean and must take a mikvah or baptize in water and becomes clean again after the even. In addition, a man who has sexual relations with her is rendered ritually impure for 7 days, as opposed to 1 day of impurity for coming in contact with her or her carrier of uncleanness. Verse 24, and if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lies shall be unclean. So when it talks about her flowers, that means her menstrual blood. So if the husband comes in contact with his wife's menstrual blood, he becomes unclean for 7 days, the same as the woman. And he also becomes unclean in a contagious way, whereas anything that he lies upon also becomes unclean. And this is considering if they unintentionally have sexual relations during her Niddah. In other words, both the man and the woman are unaware that the woman has begun her menstruation. Torah further prohibits sexual intercourse with a woman who is in her Niddah state. Vayikra, chapter 18, verse 19. Also you shall not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart from her uncleanness. So Yahuwah has commanded that a wife shall not have sexual intercourse during her time of Niddah, her time of separation. The Torah concludes by imposing the punishment of Karath on both individuals, man and woman, if the prohibition is violated. This prohibition component of physical relations with the Niddah is considered in full effect and mandatory for all children of Yisrael. Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 18. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. So that phrase cut off comes from the Hebrew karath. Karath. So the English phrase cut off comes from the Hebrew karath, which means to cut, cut down, cut off a body part, eliminate. Ezekiel chapter 18. But if a man be just, and do what is lawful and right, and has not eaten upon the mountains, neither has lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Yisrael, neither has defiled his neighbor's wife, neither has come near to a menstruous woman, verse 9, has walked in my statutes, and have kept my judgments to deal truly, he is just, he shall surely live, says Adonai Yahuwah. So according to Yahuwah through his prophet, a righteous man, a man who is obedient to the commandments of Yahuwah, does not come near to a Niddah or a menstruous woman. How are we fulfilling this commandment in today's society? As we look at how we must return to all the laws and commandments of Yahuwah, let's make sure that we are being diligent and circumspect in our obedience. Review questions. What does the word Niddah mean? A woman is considered impure for at least how many days after she begins her menstruation? What happens to any object a woman in Niddah touches? What must a person do after being made unclean by a woman in Niddah or a carrier of uncleanness? What happens to a person if they come in contact with menstrual blood? What is the punishment for people that intentionally have sexual relations during Niddah? Is a woman in Niddah permitted to participate in set-apart gatherings? Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Bind up the testimony, seal the Torah among my disciples. Shalom, family.